services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Welcome to Success Secrets Exposed with Sally A. Curtis, where we share stories of challenge, success, and inspiration, along with practical tips and strategies to move you forward to your success. And now, here's your host, Sally A. Curtis.
Good evening, good morning, and good day to you all. Welcome to another episode of Success Secrets Exposed. Today, we're going to be talking about collaboration and how it is key for business growth. And I'm super excited to be sharing two very, very special people with you as well today. So to give you a little bit of background, if you are new to the show, my background is as a marketing strategist, specifically for speakers, coaches, and consultants, specializing in content repurposing and LinkedIn conversations to help people amplify their voice, their message, and their impact. Now, today I'm going to be sharing a different side to my business life, and that's one of our collaborative relationships that I have with these two guys that I'm going to be introducing you to shortly as part of Huddle Co., which is a collaborative business that we have that's been created, where we are a business advisory firm helping businesses solve problems and create growth. So please help me welcome both Dim and David. Now, David may not quite be there, and he'll be coming in shortly. They're both there. Good morning.
Morning.
Well done for getting there whilst you're still driving in the car, David. I love it. Good job. Very, very much. So let me just introduce these guys very briefly to you. We have Dim, who is the Managing Director of Huddle. And he is very much the person that keeps us all inspired, builds the momentum by creating a roadmap for us all to follow and to assist our clients with their growth through creating systems and phenomenal support. Now, David, on the other hand, equally a genius delivery, and he is our deep question asker. He's the systems person for Huddle, and he asks very, very deep questions, and that helps us create the right delivery, the right tone, as well as really builds the right intent and context for bringing out that inner genius of the clients that we actually work with. So today we're going to be sharing with you, as we mentioned, why collaboration is key. And we're going to start it off with the motto of Huddle Co., which is better together. So I'm going to ask you fellas first, because I've got the questions in front of me.
Nice.
Why do you think we all came together? I don't know.
Who wants to go first?
Threw that one in as a curveball.
Well, I always like to throw Dim under that one because, well, he's technically the founder. Dim kind of brought Huddle to life before Sally and David came into the picture. So I'm going to throw you under that one.
Oh, thank you.
But also, I love you.
I love you too. Collaboration has always been key for me. A lot of my successes, and I know this is the second time I've been on the radio show, and a lot of the stories that I say and the songs that I sing is I understand my strengths and my weaknesses, and being a man of the people, or understanding culture, or just really getting to know a person so that they can do their job confidently and clearly. I found that by allowing that person to form their role, to come into that role, rather than the traditional mindset of you're a manager, here's your roles and responsibilities, this is what you need to do, and forcing someone to do it in the lens of either being that manager or being an officer within that team. I've seen a number of times where people start to churn and burn. So, a lot of our success, well, again, between the three of us, but, I feel that a lot of our success and the reason why we've come together is we've never led with our ego. We've never forced each other to be a certain way or act in a certain method. It was more of a, do we see alignment here? Cool. Let's go test that out in the market. Oh, that worked. Fantastic. How do we stack that? So yeah, I think it's more of just understanding each other's strengths and weaknesses, being very transparent about those amongst each other, and then literally saying, okay, so where can I cover you and you can cover me, and all of a sudden this beautiful culture comes into fruition.
Very much so. David, I'll let you
my take on that is kind of going to leverage a little bit of what Dim said. But for me, it's the word alignment is really what strikes a chord with my story. It was very much about halfway through Dim and I's relationship, there was there was a message exchange between Dim and I where I really like what you do. I like the energy you have. I would love to do something with you just because of this magic word, alignment. And I had no idea what it was. And it was, 7 months later, I got this thing called Huddle. Would you be interested? and it's just kind of spurred from there. So for me, it's less about project by project, making it less transactional and more, I suppose, intangible. There's an alignment there. There's a collaboration there. I don't really know what it is, but it's just if we're together, or if we're all together, or if the team is together, we feel like we can take on the world.
Agreed.
Kind of thing. How? Don't know yet. What is it? Don't know yet. But
I'll be
we got the family. We got the family. and I got the big man.
Yeah, beautiful. And I'd just love to say to that, the alignment for me is sort of the word I use as well as the alignment is that organic growth. Now, Huddle was a different form when we first started conversations.
Yes, it was.
And as we've evolved, the growth and the collaboration has evolved and the business has evolved. So for us, it was alignment, but it was also that we could see organic growth between all of us as well as the business and what was happening in the marketplace to solve problems and fill gaps.
Yep.
So I sort of looked at the fact, if I break it back down, we've all been problem solvers in the marketplace. But we were all solving very, very specific problems. And I would get clients where I could go, well, I can only do this bit and I can't do anymore. I can't help you anymore because I can't do that system stuff, even though people see me being a systemized to a degree. So that's where I see we've really come together and grown because we're all problem solvers in a particular area. It's just that collectively, we can actually solve most of the business problems that people present with because we actually have each of our inner geniuses that has come together to solve those bigger problems.
I'll also add to that as well, is that each of us also have very different histories and backgrounds. And I think that it's just been very fortunate that we found each other. It's like, I can cover that, or Dim can cover this, and so on. It's I've been very much waiting for an opportunity to be in a workplace environment where I'm not good at these areas, and I would just love someone who loves that area and like me, but also can look after that and vice versa. So I guess the other magic word which I was thinking about for today is reciprocation. Yeah. Right? There's this unspoken reciprocation that I get with the Huddle family that I don't have to put into words. I just don't have to. I don't know how to explain it. It's magic. And I wish everyone else to have it as well.
Had that as well. So, Dim, I'm going to throw you into the question as it relates to magic, and then I'll get into sort of what collaboration means to all of us and those sorts of things. But what is it that what is the magic that each of us brings individually? Can you articulate that, and then we can all sort of add our versions to that?
Yeah.
Alrighty. You're on the spotlight now.
I'm getting interrogated today. I love it. Okay. The tides of shift. So in terms of, as you call it, inner geniuses, I call it superpowers. When I look at a person, there's the emotional side or the emotional intelligence, how good are they as a person, and then, what they can bring to the table in terms of resources. So I'll do the easy stuff, which is basically even between the three of us. Sally, as much as you've, brought your star power to the table, which is literally radiated on everything that we've done in terms of conversations we've had, over the last year now, where I'm like, cool, I need to see the Pope. And all of a sudden you're like, yeah, no worries, I'll get you the Pope. I'll do that in 4 seconds. And all of a sudden you're on the phone and you're like, hi, how you going? Yeah, you want to, Dim? Let me just pass the phone over to Dim. Yeah. Right. So I feel in terms of this blended nature of, okay, you've got this star power, but you're evidence stacking. Like David and I, we evidence stack in our own way. We get a bit funky and a bit creative, and we jump into some holes and realize that we have to get back out. Whereas, with your process, it's very much, we get a lot of this hand movement going on. Boys, what's going on? Does that work for you? What does that mean for me? What does that mean for the client? So, just that sharpness in terms of evidence stacking is definitely something that's valuable. And just, your caring nature and sense of nurturing. Like, that's a big thing for us, I had a conversation the other day where, one of my mentors went to the website, and the first thing that came out of his mouth was, you're all different ages. And I said, is that an issue? Is that a problem? And he said, no, that's perfect, right? Because at the end of the day, you're not, entrepreneurs all at the age of 30 trying to, do the best that you can. You've got this dynamic between, mother hen telling her boys what needs to get done or to get to sleep, or
That's
what
Denise
I mean?
you're talking about, of course.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, in terms of you, Sally, nurturing, sharp, evidence stacking, star power, and just, your acumen in terms of marketing and sales and lead generation, like, just boggles our minds half the time. Like, it's just amazing.
And I mean, I say it a lot, but it's just very much do you have a Sally? What's a Sally?
Yeah.
I'll introduce you to Sally. And it's just like, I don't know how to explain it. There's this person I know as Sally, and you have to have a Sally.
It's a position that can't be filled other than you.
Yeah, thank you. And how would you describe the magic that you guys bring? So you've sort of highlighted mine, and I'll certainly add to yours, and I thank you very, very much for that.
No, of course.
But from a business perspective, what do you guys bring to the table that's helping amplify everything that we all do together?
That's a good question. So I know we all sing the mantra, people, process, and outcomes. It's that systemized approach. You can call it problem solving, you can call it digital transformation or transformation in general. But I feel that everyone in our family, and even in our strategic partner network, it's very much, okay, A plus B equals C. Let's test and measure. What does that mean to the client? How can we create a baseline and a structure so that we can play with the confines of that systemized approach in order to provide the best value for the client, rather than going, oh, guys, this is a bespoke thing. It's going to definitely take us 100 hours. We say it every day. We don't like Chinese whispers. We don't like to make assumptions. So, at the end of the day, as long as we've got that systemized approach and that baseline, we get to be ourselves, number one. We get to, activate our inner genius and get creative. And at the end of the day, and this happens organically, right? Like, we just pick up the phone and it's like, I had this idea last night at 2:00 in the morning. Then I hear, you should have been asleep, Dim, but let's talk about that.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's more about the culture and the fact that, culture is kind of a word that gets thrown around of being misplaced or miscommunicated or just being really fluffy, right? I feel with Huddle, we can say that our culture is X, Y, and Z, and basically what that is a baseline and systemized approach, being yourself so that we can be better together.
Yeah, beautiful.
It's very interesting.
And great outcomes for clients too. David,
it's very interesting sitting in front of a client who, these are just any other software guys or any other systems guys or consulting guys, whatever it is, and then kind of seeing the gears turn in their head. It's like, I get it. You have a fuzzy warm feeling now too. Awesome.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to explain it to other people, but I can't. It's just what we do.
Now, I'm going to explain that warm, fuzzy feeling, as you put it, David, because this was my experience of you, which is the both of you, which is why we're now working together. So when I came to you going, I've got this system, and Dim, don't laugh. I remember my system was very effective, but it was ugly. It was very, very ugly. Mm-hmm. And I have, with my evidence stacking and my stubbornness, I have a certain way that I like to do things. And I expect systems to work the Sally way, not the Sally way. And the beauty of what Dim talks about with people, process, outcomes is they were able to build the systems that I needed to support me. Not that yes, they support my business, but they created the systems that supported the way I naturally worked. I didn't have to change, which is why I was able to get such fast and scaled growth. And that to me, David, and David explaining the warm fuzzy feelings, that's the penny drop moment where they go, oh my God, these guys aren't trying to sell me the box that I have to adapt to. They're going to create the box and craft the box based on what I need for me and then for my business. So me first, then the business. So 100%. I think that's something exceptional.
There's a conversation I had with a lecturer back at uni, Dr. Nick Faulkner, if anyone recognizes the name. He's an incredible person. But there's this one line that he said to me once, which is, rather than building technology, he was talking about software at the time, rather than building technology like a dishwasher where you have to take the dishes and put it in a machine and then press a button, wouldn't it be amazing if the dishwasher just went into your sink where the dishes are and just did the dishes for you? And kind of applying that to as much as you can that's reasonable. So rather than, for example, I want to pay for something, I have to go get my card out of my wallet, blah, 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 swipe. Wouldn't it be amazing if I just paid like with money, but it knew that it was me and it went to my bank account. I didn't have to change anything. I've added value without changing the way that people interact with something, creating value out of nothing, so to speak, but creating systems that adapt you rather than you having to learn how the new black box works. And then you have 3 black boxes and I'm like, great, cool. I'm now just a machine. I'm a monkey between 3 black boxes.
Yeah, very much. It's that magic wand. I work with a lot of clients that will say, well, I just want, blah, blah, blah. And I'll look at them and go, but that's Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
Red pill, blue pill. But we have the opportunity now with that clarity that you bring and the questions that you ask about getting, at least a relatively well-trained Tinkerbell where it does exactly what they're needing it to do. And I know that's 100%. A bit cheeky and a bit flippant, but people all know that they've got there. I just wish I could, I just wish it had worked like this. Versus having to buy something off the shelf and it still doesn't do what you want it to do.
Agreed.
So just going to shift gears very, very slightly now and ask you, I'll share my definition of a collaborative partnership. And I know we've talked about how we've all come together, but I'd love to find out from you how you now and or before would define a collaborative relationship and why it becomes very relevant for business. So in one of my training manuals, which I was going back through as I was researching this from a few years back, I had the definition of a collaborative partnership being one or more businesses working together to produce a collective outcome whilst they retained their individual identities. Now, at the time, I meant business identities, but I think for us as a collective, we've not only got our individual business identities, but our inner geniuses, and that's where we then get that leverage or amplification approach. What would you guys say?
I'll start this one. So I have been thinking about the question quite a bit. I think that if you were to look up on a dictionary or an encyclopedia of the definition of collaboration, it'd be very much in line with what Sally said. I would just tweak it a little bit and say that it's very transaction orientated, right? Whereas there is some transactional outcome to be made, i.e., I don't know, a partnership with a utility company because if we make a sale, they get a client, something like that. And again, you retain the individual identities of both parties. Now that's how it worked in the past for me, but post huddle or during huddle, I would change it ever so slightly to be that there is the magic A word. There is an alignment between values, right? And less of an emphasis on what the transaction or the project is, but there is an underlying alignment between Dim's values and David's values and Sally's. Ideally, that would be amazing to be able to have that with every client, but that's not always going to be the case. But be able to find commonalities of you care about these things and I understand why. I care about these things and they overlap, right? That there is an alignment to why I actually care about your work and vice versa. The people, processes, outcome, the outcome part, yes, I consider that as a bonus. It's an important part, but I consider it as a bonus. For me, if I could have that, the alignment of values between two people, then that to me in my mind is collaboration. What comes out of that could be anything. And at Huddle, I'm very fortunate to have found people who just without even having to try, we align, and I don't know how to explain it. Oh, that's the best I can do.
And Dim, you're smiling there, so I can see you've got gold coming out.
Look, I'm gonna explain it very simply, right? Pre Sally and David, pre Denise, Jeremy, pre Sylvia, Miranda, pre Milan, Josh, and Celeste, it was just Dim, right? So for me now, like the collaboration partnership that we've got, like David has eloquently said, it goes beyond the transactional. It's very transformative, right? So I say certain words, David takes the mickey out of me. That was months ago. Now he uses those certain words, and I just sit there and I just go, hee. Like, now you're using my verbiage, right?
Yeah.
So and it's also amazing to see some of our other teams kind of taking on some of Dim's verbiages. I'm like, our employee just said this word, and I know that's a Dim word. How did that happen? What is going on?
So for me, it's a mindset shift, right? It becomes organic, it becomes genuine, it becomes a part of your life. Like, the stories that I tell you guys, I've done this for so many companies in my past. It's the first time that I've done it for myself, and I've done it for us. So that collaborative partnership, as much as you go to the Oxford Dictionary and it says it has to be transactional, the alignment needs to exist, and it needs to be transformative, so that when we wake up every morning and we go, hey, what are we doing today? It's not something that is an obligation. It's something that's going to provide us that accelerated growth, not just for the business, but for ourselves as well.
Yeah, beautiful. I'm going to ask to chat on why collaboration is important now as it relates to business growth for us, but also for individuals as well. And if I go back to some of my old trainings again, the training that used to bring people in the door when I was providing it in the public arena was why most collaborations fail. So it was interesting, and that indicated to me, as well as having the conversations in the room, that lots of people want to get into collaborations. Lots of people see the benefits of collaboration, but they get into them and they don't work, or they're not sure what to do, and we'll come into, what should they do next. But why do you guys believe now, with our experience and what you're seeing with the changes in the marketplace, where things that people are needing to adapt, they're needing to be agile, they're needing to be more transformative versus transactional? Why do you think it's important that businesses do start to look at collaborating with each other?
You first.
Two very quick answers, which would be retention, having a longer term relationship rather than a project buy. In where we are, which is in Adelaide, it's very much it's who you know, not what you know. So it's important to be able to maintain relationships with people who can do certain things, like for quite a while. So relationship kind of becomes a priority. I can't speak for other parts of Australia or other parts of the world, but that's just kind of how it works in Adelaide.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of reflective of just our histories as well. So that's kind of one side. The other one is just it can also be quite scarce for particular types of roles or particular types of work. So, for example, surprisingly, it's as I'm learning, it is getting more and more scarce to find developers and people of certain specialities in the IT side of things. Which, when I was graduating, surely, if you want a job, you can find a job. But the reality is that there's more developers or people in IT than there are jobs available. It's like, oh, okay. So that's interesting. So finding someone who can do that work and keeping a rapport with them becomes a very valuable thing. Hence, collaboration, it becomes a very attractive option for someone who wants to have particular works done or just wants it to be looked after and they don't want to think about it. I'm like, awesome. Collaboration becomes really a very attractive option there. Or you pay through the nose, which Adelaideans don't really like to do.
Yeah. Beautiful. And Dim?
Yeah, I'll take it from more of a more corporate executive lens through my experiences. The traditional hierarchy where there's a manager and directors and the whole apex food chain. has been squashed, right? Think of it as concentric circles. And at the end of the day, at the right time, right place, you need the right people. It's just how it is. The behavior at the end of the day isn't a matter of going, okay, well, let's sit in this, HR role or marketing role for the next 20 years, have kids and just cruise, right? Again, we need to build momentum, right? And the only way you're going to do that now that, I'm not saying we're in survival mode. I think of it more of as a transformational mode and mindset in terms of work behavior, where, you know what, like, with all due respect, you've got your own marketing department inside. Wouldn't it be great to upskill them with someone that that could help them out? Yeah. So basically amplifying that education so that the wheels start turning and we get out of, this situation or this feeling that we're in. Whereas, pre-COVID, back in the 80s and 90s, my grandfather used to say, I'm a truck driver. I know how to drive a truck. Now I have a multi-million-dollar company that has, 76, road train prime movers. But in his mind, he's still a truck driver. Yeah. He's never had to learn about IT. He's never had to reach out and learn about accounting. It was just like, I know what I'm good at. This is what I need to do and keep moving forward. Right now, everybody needs to be agile. Everyone needs to be open to, like we say, the beautiful, word opportunity. So at the end of the day, we're not, stuck in the mud, right? In order to basically say, well, it's COVID's fault or it's the world's fault. Well, no, it's you just need to accept that is a newer and more advantageous way of doing things in terms of business transformation, and just taking a leap of faith to see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's also worth noting that people need to acknowledge that when they are stuck in the mud, it doesn't really work when it's like, you're kind of stuck with your wheels spinning. Let's come in, and it becomes very defensive.
Yeah.
No, people need to be willing to accept things aren't working. What are my options?
Yeah.
So looking at that from a wise collaboration, important, David, you've highlighted the ability to find specialised knowledge and share in more pieces of the pies when you're working in a special industry or a specialised arena. Dim, you've talked about, educating people and helping people be able to do more and maneuver more and create more. So that transformative scenario. And I'm going to bring in some of the scenarios which are even probably potentially more simplistic. It's some of those, the fact that if you're collaborating with people, you're actually sharing resources. So we've got all shared resources, and then we've got, subscriptions that we may share. So instead of us all buying a subscription, we've got a shared subscription. So we've reduced costs there.
Yep.
We also have the ability to open up new markets, because we're all problem solvers, but I was in this arena and you were in this arena and David was in this arena, but together we can actually overlap in many more arenas. So you're actually, collaboration enables you to bring in new markets and bring in more client opportunities. Whilst we also still stay in our own inner genius and those sorts of things, and we've got that overlapping knowledge, etc. as well. Plus, one of the things that I think gets really overlooked and really sits in that transformative piece is that through, and I'm going to use the word edification, through the edification process and the trust that we each have had very significantly in our own networks, when we then bring in a David and a Dim, or you guys bring in a Sally, there's trust there already, even though we're new to these people, because we've got that trust between ourselves. So from a marketing statistics perspective, that transferred trust is like having collections of warm markets. When I go out to a new market or a cold market, my likelihood from a marketing percentage is only around 10% of getting a sale. Yep. But if I go in leveraging off somebody's edified trust or that transfer of trust, the likelihood of a sale collectively is up around the 60 and 70%. So you've got leverage in the data or the numbers that are normal place for business. So I think that's one of the really great things of why people should collaborate, because there's shared resources and shared trust, which gives you leverage as well. Okay, deep question. We've probably answered this a little bit with the conversation, but I'm going to ask you, what do you guys individually believe is the secret to a great collaboration? In other words, what is it that you do to make it great?
Dear.
Do you want me to start it, or David, if you've got it?
Well, I mean, I'm just going to rehash something I said earlier, and it's instead of the A word, alignment.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's more important to identify what do you value, or what is important to you, whoever's either being on either end of the collaboration. What is important for you in terms of alignment? Is it purely sales? Is it purely KPI? Is it I need income, I need revenue? That's what's important to you. Awesome. Find someone who cares about that. Or is it I feel like I'm doing this as a one-man shop. I'm a truck driver and I don't know how to do stuff. I value down to earth, wholesome, blah blah blah. These type of values. I need someone who can level with me on that extent. So alignment. Do you care about the transactional stuff? Do you care about the numbers? Do you care about just having someone who knows my pain, so that I can live to fight another day?
Yeah.
So however you align with someone else, I think that's the important part of collaboration. And in the context of clients, again, it doesn't always happen, but it's I try to look for with a client, what do I know about them, understanding how their brain works, why they think the way they do, because that's something I find fascinating. The how and why is what I find fascinating. And a client from being a truck driver to social media repurposing, there is something interesting that I find, and that's where I begin to align with another person or another business. So alignment, it's just how you choose to interpret it and what's important to you is changes.
Yeah, beautiful. And Dim?
So to extend that further, right? For me personally, to get to alignment, you got to invest time, right? So I think we spend more time with each other than we do with anyone else. Yeah. Whether it's something us talking on Discord, or sitting down face to face, or jumping on a call at 2:00 in the morning when I'm trying to finish off a project and David just swoops in and just sorts me out.
There's a story behind that, but
Yeah.
Jim was in tears one night.
It was intense. It's the genuine nature of spending time with someone to understand who they are as a person, right? And I know where we're looping back again with transformation and alignment and all that kind of thing. But collaboration is, if you want to, you don't just want to date them, right? You want to know their pet peeves. You want to know what gets them up in the morning. You want to know what how they're feeling on a Friday at 2:00. Like what's their favorite drink? Like, take the time to know the person, so that when we're about to go and put out a fire with a client, we're all aligned without having to say too much. Yeah. And correct. You just know, it's like, I've got your back, you've got mine. That's awesome. Let's go for gold. Instead of shit. Sally's, she's $150 an hour. She's told us she's only got 2 hours. Okay, we need more than that. How do we try and squeeze that out of her? Yeah. So for collaboration, for me, and I'm going to do this until the day that I leave this world, investing time with people, just really asking questions that are genuine, and making sure that every week everyone's okay, everyone's on the same alignment, everyone's doing the things that make them feel good, so that we can keep moving forward.
Yeah. I'm just going to highlight the magic G word, which is genuine. And again, genuine alignment, finding something that you align with another person, find something you find interesting, but also have it be genuine. It's something that I value quite a lot. And
I'm going to add to that the genuine. So the key thing for me, which is what I really want to highlight here, because this is one of the most common reasons collaborations fail, is what we have is I'm going to use the term over communicate. we do a lot of communication, whereas I see a lot of people go, yeah, I've got a collaborative party now and thing now, and they go, oh, you're going to do this and you're going to do that, which means you're doing it all and I'm not doing anything. And then they don't speak to each other for another 14 days. And then they wonder why there's no momentum, nothing's happening. So the ability in our case, where we've been graced with the ability to over communicate, both from a business perspective, but also a personal perspective, we each know each other's strengths and weaknesses, as we've said. We know that we've got each other's backs. We almost finish each other's sentences, or, we can look at each other now and sort of, you're reading, I'm just about to do that, this isn't working and I don't need to do this anymore. I just need to give you a look.
Yeah.
And we've all got those mannerisms because we've invested time to understand each other, as well as whilst we're doing that to understand the business that we're transforming or the business that we're helping. But we have had the opportunity to over communicate.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to say to you, what do you see? And I know we've just sort of highlighted that. What do you see when you've seen collaborations go wrong? So what do people need to look out for? We've told them what they should look for. What should people look out for when it's going wrong?
I got 2 horror stories, but
I'm a person who, short answer, Jim should share them, but I'm very much a person who learns from other people's stories, because I think that stories define who people are. So let's start with those 2 horror stories, because I believe that they're quite important and they should be shared.
Never overpromise and underdeliver ever. Right? I've had countless stories, whether they're involving multiple people in multiple teams, or sitting with a board of director, or just sitting with a friend or whatever. If you say that you're going to get something done, get it done. If you say that you can't get it done, just say that you can't get it done, over communicate and figure out the next best solution. I had one time where we had to deliver a website. I was told by our web designer at the time in a previous digital agency that it was going to be finished in 4 weeks. The web developer disappeared, took the website, didn't come back. We had no idea where he was. Client was disgruntled, and Dim had to wine, dine, coffee, kisses, and put out a couple of fires. But let's just call him Bill. If Bill came to the table and said, "Hey, my grandfather passed away, and I'm an international student, and I didn't know what to do, and I wasn't quite sure about it," then cool. How can we help the situation to ensure that you're okay, but at the same time we can deliver something that makes sense?
Yeah, for the client.
Yeah. So a lack of communication is pretty much the 90% horror story that I've had.
Mine's going to be very simple. Is genuine. When you put yourself in a position where you have to compromise on that. In the short term, it might work out, but inevitably, always it bites. From my experiences, it bites you in the ass.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm in a place where I don't have to do that. I'm not the one. I'm not in a position to do that. But also, I don't want anyone else to be in that position as well. So that's one of the things that I care about. That's one of the things where, if I can detect that in someone, to find that alignment. So genuine in a position where you can be genuine. And if you're sensing that there is something that is not genuine,
hinky feeling.
Get into a point where you can poke and prod and I don't think you care about this, or we seem to having a very superficial conversation about this website or whatever it is.
Yeah.
What do you care about?
Yeah. What's your why?
Which then comes back to, which is what I spend a lot of time thinking about is why do you want this? Why do you care about this? Why do you do this? And how? How do you do this? How is this a part of your life, etc.? So the how and why is where I spend a lot of my time.
Yeah.
So basically, don't be fake and over communicate, and make sure that you over communicate.
Yeah, beautiful. And I'm gonna add to that as well. So we've used a lot of why what words in there. So I'm just going to express that. So David is very much the why and the what. Dim is very much the what and the how, and I'm the who and the when. So we all have our own specific questions that we actually lead with. Which is why when we work together collectively, we actually cover all of the relevant questions to create growth, because we all cover collectively why, what, who, when, how. Because if any of one of those is missing, for example, the when if you don't know when the deadline of something needs to be delivered, or when this needs to be finished, or etc., then nothing actually ever gets completed. So it's very important that you have a team or a collaboration where you're actually covering all of the relevant questions. The other thing that to look out for, and Jim's going to laugh the minute I say this word, is pace. Because if you are all at a different pace, it doesn't work. So I'm very fast paced, and Dim's experienced this recently talking when I've got a very fast pace. If you're working with people that are you're all at different paces, like someone's really fast paced and someone's really slow. That's often not an advantage. If you've got a combination of a group of people that are a cross section of both slow and fast, so there's more people involved, that will actually amplify. But if you've got a really slow person and a really fast person trying to work together, even though their values may be aligned, their mismatch of pace then messes and creates a mismatch of mindsets, because you end up equally frustrated with the other. And you find somebody coming along behind you going, "Come on, hurry up, let's go."
And we're like, "That's cool, awesome. We need to fix this over here. We'll see you tomorrow." Yeah.
Exactly. So let's now have a little bit of a last question, because we've only got a couple of minutes left, is how do you find out in the business world, for those that are going, I need support, or I want to do this, or I've got all of these great big aspirations to change the world and create an impact. How would you, in a couple of words, describe how collaborations can enrich growth? Either from an individual personal perspective, or a business perspective. And I know that's a bit of a recap of what we've discussed.
Yeah. So use the word enrich growth, right? So for me, right, and I'll do a quick story. I don't take compliments too well. Heavy European, get the work done, make sure everybody's okay, put everyone in front. I'll eat last, I'll drink last, I'll breathe last. But as long as everyone's cool, we're cool. Yeah. I feel that saying that story and then, really blending that back into collaboration is a bit of a mismatch in that narrative, right? But ultimately, what I've learned in terms of the enrichment of our collaboration at Huddle is I've had to let go. Right. So, cool. David, I love you. That's your thing. As much as I would love to just sit there and help you out, not micromanage, but just be a part of it.
And I'll add to that, there have been times when I've had to claw stuff away from the big guy for his own good. Yeah. But at the same time, he does the same with me and with Sally as well. So
yeah. So the whole trying to be everywhere all at the same time for everyone is not the way to do the collaboration part of it, right? It really comes back, full circle to the start of, our conversation, is really identifying, okay, are they a good person? Awesome. What are their strengths and their weaknesses? That's where they're really good at. Let them be themselves, right? Take a leap of faith and go, cool. If there are some challenges, over communicate. So even for me personally, like as much as I've been a cowboy, or, been very much my own machine for a very long time, I've been able to relax and feel very supported moving forward. So yeah, just don't spread yourself out too thin, and just allow things to happen, because the right people will always come back into your life.
Yeah,
I'm being mindful of time, but there's a burning question I really want to ask. Would you feel this way if you hadn't gone through all your past experiences where you had spread yourself too thin and you had kind of been burnt? Or were you like that beforehand?
I was like that beforehand.
Okay.
Yeah. I always overdo things. I over things all the time. So I think even if I was burnt out or any of my experiences, I think it's just more of a natural ingrained state. But again, like having us as a community I've learned new things about myself that I would normally just put to the side and just go, nah, I just got to get stuff done because it's Dim's responsibility. Where now we're all here to get it done together. So.
I'm just going to add to that, if I may. David, do you have anything quick to add? And I'll just do a recap.
No.
Okay. Beautiful. What I wanted to add to that is that the collaborative growth has enriched all of us because we have all at varying different levels and have had conversations around the burnout piece, whereas now we feel that we are supported and we all still do too much and we still have those things. But what we've done through our own agility of movement, the fact that we accept and trust each other, we've got support, we're more confident in ourselves as well as each other. What we actually are now are a mirror of each other. And that's where the magic starts to happen. So that's where I do right, boys, you've just told me that you've been up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and you get the mum nag versus the I'm not doing something or not filling something out right, and I get the dim nag, which is, can you just add this and this in here and here because you haven't done it properly because I'm not following the system correctly. And those sorts of things. So we mirror and keep each other accountable to make sure that we're supporting each other in the business arena on what we're doing for the clients. But then we've got that personal support and guardedness of each other and protectiveness of each other as well. And that's some of the stuff that can really not only enrich a business, but it certainly gets to enrich the personal lives and the families and all the ripple effects that sort of stuff has to come about. So that is a bit of insight on what happens when you huddle and you become better together.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done.
So thank you very, very much for joining us. Thank you, Dim and David, for sharing so much of what we've worked on and with together. And hopefully that gives people some insights of, how a good collaboration does become very enriching, lots of fun, incredibly rewarding, and really, really does benefit the client outcomes because of what's coming together. So to snapshot it, we are simply 3 different problem solvers in 3 different areas that have come together that actually magnify and leverage off each other's experience, which creates a more powerful outcome and opportunity for the clients that we work with.
Love it.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you very, very much. We're at an end. So thank you to both of you. And we will see you all next week for another episode of Secrets Exposed. See you soon.
Bye.
That's it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. I trust you got some inspirational tips to move you forward. See you next Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern for more Success Secrets Exposed.
We're going to ask all these really intricate questions. And so it's like, just